I'd been asked to fly to New England to appraise a car collection that we might have the opportunity to auction. And the scene was unlike any other I had encountered before. You see, the cars were in a barn, great classic automobiles, and they were rusted and torn and just in shambles. That's the way the couple, the heirless couple who had passed away, had left them. But I walked through their home, which was a maze. There were boxes where you could see they had kept everything and lived like misers, and you had to walk in a pathway in order to get through the house. And while we were there, the executor of the estate said, you know, this made quite a bit of headlines throughout the New England region. And I said, because of the car collection? They said, no. This heirless couple lived like this, and when they passed away, we realized that underneath the foundation of this crooked old house, it was actually leaning, was almost $1 million worth of gold. You see, they had embedded in the foundation of where they lived gold, and yet they lived like misers. You know, I left that day kind of evaluating my own life and thinking about how the gold in the foundation resembled what I had done with my life. I had made my foundation on gold because it was always about the next deal and always about making more money. But I was asked to consider having a different foundation, a foundation that the Bible teaches, one of wisdom. You see, I desired gold with all my heart, and it was time to do what Proverbs 8, 10, and 11 says, desire wisdom with all my heart, because it's more valuable than anything else I could desire, gold, silver, or rubies. You know, God created us with 4 primary desires: significance, contentment, control, and security. We see it in Genesis 1, where God makes man in His image, and that's where significance comes from. It has in the word significance, sign. We're a sign, we're a symbol of the design of the designer, and significance comes from being made in God's image. So God also placed in us the desire for contentment. It was from being blessed by God. In essence, He said, be content enough to be fruitful and multiply. Subdue the earth. Kabash in Hebrew, literally meaning to bring contentment to the earth. And it came from being blessed by God. God also placed in the human heart a desire for control. It came from being empowered by God, from the authority from God, in order to name the names of the animals, rule over the earth from being empowered by God. God also gave man the desire of security. He said, I'm giving you everything you need, all the trees and all the plants to survive. And security came from being given by God every resource that we need. You know, our desires are a lot like a wheel. We search to satisfy those desires apart from God. And we try to go to the outside of the wheel. You know, the automobile was designed in order to get us where we want to go faster and take all of our stuff with us. And that's just what we do when we go to the outside of the wheel. We try to get there faster with our own self-restoration programs, and we try to take all of our stuff with us. It's hurry. It's this heart that's totally out of alignment. And the irony is, as we go to the outside of the wheel and seek significance apart from God, the more insignificant we feel. The more we try to seek contentment apart from God, the more discontent we become. The more we seek control at the outside of the wheel apart from God, the more out of control our lives become. And the more we seek security apart from God, the more insecure we become. And what's really interesting is right here at the hub is where the restorer is. And the restorer is Christ. And He, only He, is the satisfaction of our desires. He becomes our significance. And there's nothing more significant than receiving the love of God, so undeserved, so unmerited, that it's called grace. God's riches at Christ's expense. And the Bible tells us that Christ the restorer is the grace of God. We search for contentment apart from Him. But here He is at the hub, calling to us who are discontent and saying, you know what? I'm the peace of God. The Bible tells us that Christ the restorer is the peace of God. Only I, Jesus said, can satisfy that desire in you. And it's here at the hub. Control. He says to those who are seeking control apart from Him and your life's out of control, He's saying, here I am. I am the power of God. That's what the Bible calls Him. He is the power of God. And that's really what we want. That's what we're designed to have. But we think we're going to get it by seeking control apart from Him, and we end up being out of control. Christ the restorer is the power of God, and He's here at the hub of the wheel saying, come inside. And then we have security. The only thing that really makes us secure is when we find something that's the same all the way through. It's authentic. It's true. And the Bible says that Christ is the truth of God. So as you talk with your group this week, I'd invite you to consider how you've gone to the outside of the wheel and maybe become insignificant, discontent, out of control, and insecure. Because there's two pathways out to the outside of the wheel. One stone, one sand. A stone heart tries to focus on the vertical apart from the horizontal. Likes to focus on God at the expense of people, and that's just legalism. There's a sand pathway to the outside of the wheel. It focuses on the horizontal at the expense of the vertical. It focuses on the relationships with people, but doesn't really think a whole lot about God. The irony is that stone and sand are the same substance, just a different aggregate. In essence, sand is just crumbled up stone, and we still have our own set of rules, even though sand resembles license. But there's only one road to the hub of the wheel, only one road to Christ the restorer, and that road is clay. It's humility. Humility and humanity come from the same Latin word humus, and it means from the ground. We call it down to earth. It's interesting that sand, stone, and clay all come from the ground, but only clay gets it. Only clay realizes that it has meaning when it's shaped in the form by the hands of the designer.